Hey, I'm Jade PettyJohn, and I am here alone with Jake Hogan, so you don't have to be.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Welcome to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan, a show where I encourage people not to be alone. And I do that by actually sitting with people and talking to them face to face and asking interesting and funny people to help me solve my own life problems. And thank you for joining me. I am grateful for all the positive feedback. People have been joining the YouTube subscriber base in droves. So fantastic. We're now, I think we're the number 3 most popular podcast in all of podcasting. Is that right, producer Ryan? Something like that. We're either number 3 or number 300,000. It doesn't really matter. We're climbing the ranks. And actually, it is becoming very popular. Please feel free to email me at dbawjk@gmail.com with your questions for guests, your comments for me, your anything you want to say. If you want recipes, I'll give you recipes. Whatever it is, please, let's be in contact because I really like hearing from you and I really like responding. Anyway, today we have a great guest. I will say this, my friend Jade PettyJohn, who is an actress who I worked with when she was a child, but now she's an adult. And that's always been weird for me to see somebody grow up and become an adult because that means I'm getting old. But that's not really my question. My question is going to be about being a child actor in Hollywood. I don't know if any of you have seen this new Nickelodeon documentary that's on one of the platforms. When you're a producer of a TV show for kids, you want to worry about what kind of thing you're putting out for kids to watch. So that's the first thing you're worried about. You're worried about that it's funny and entertaining. That's the second thing you're worried about. You're also worried about the actual lives of the child actors who are in your care. You're worried about their safety because they have to do stunts. You're worried about their lives because they're really working full days, many days a week. And what time do they get to be kids? And then you're worrying about what kind of effect it has on them for the future in their lives. And this Nickelodeon, it's not on Nickelodeon, but about kid actors on Nickelodeon portrays it as a very unpleasant, unhappy thing. It also shows them being victimized by sexual predators, really horrible stuff, which I'm thankful to say did not happen to my knowledge on any of my shows. But it really is scary, and you sort of worry about kids. You don't want to be responsible for bad things that happen in their lives. And I'm wondering, could I have done better? Could I have made their lives, these kids who worked on these shows, lives better? So I'm going to ask Jade PettyJohn how it was for her and how I could have made it better. And we'll see together right after this.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
So we'll start by plugging your mom's candle. What's your mom's candle company called?
Okay, well, it hasn't officially launched yet. I don't know if
What's it gonna be called?
It's gonna be called Earth Wax Fire.
Earth Wax Fire. So
Earth Wax Fire.
Kogan Nation, all people who are going to love candles have to go buy Earth Wax Fire?
Yeah, Earth Wax Fire.
Okay.
Brilliant candles, amazing scents.
Now, if you don't like things that smell good, what then? What about for people like me who
You don't like things that smell good?
I want bad scents.
Okay.
Does your mom ever
toilet paper, scented candles?
Exactly. Some unfortunate things. Unfortunate smelling things.
I could put in a good word with her. She could probably make it happen.
That's awesome.
She has the right to reject these options,
right?
But I can put in a good word.
All right.
Yeah, I know her pretty well. So
Jade, welcome.
Thank you.
Jade is somebody who I worked with for many, many years. Our relationship has changed over the years. I mean, first of all, you were a kid and I was an adult. I was also your boss.
Yeah.
And that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
The thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and I mentioned to you in an email, was you were a Nickelodeon child star. And there's all kinds of stuff going on now about Nickelodeon child stars being quite unhappy with their past.
Yeah.
And I, as a producer of a Nickelodeon show and somebody who cared about whether or not people were being treated nicely, are very disturbed by what people are saying. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and about being responsible with child stars. But before I did, I wanted to give you a gift.
A gift?
Well, just some Jack Daniels.
Oh my God.
Just to have, because I didn't know, I don't know. you know, the nature of our relationship
man.
now.
And the most hardcore that you could give me is some Jack Daniels.
That is literally the most hardcore that I had in my in my liquor cabinet.
Wow, 14-year-old Jade, when I was first cast in School of Rock, never would have thought that we would get to this.
Here's Jack Daniels.
Thank you.
And if you want to drink now, you can. It's only 12:30.
It's only 12:30.
I don't recommend it.
Somewhere.
I don't recommend it. But anyway, it's just...
it's an option.
Yeah, it's an option.
I have to learn how to make old fashions or something now. Is that what you do with...
I don't know. You drink it straight.
You drink
it straight.
Neat.
Alone.
Alone.
In the dark.
Reading Bukowski.
No, just sad.
Just
alone
sad,
in the dark.
alone in the
no
dark.
Scented candles.
No scented candles.
No scented candles. You just, stare into this and see a bleak future. That's what you do. That's what it's for.
That makes sense.
Yeah, right.
And it really aligns with the whole like tortured, self-deprecated artist thing.
Yeah, all right.
Okay,
well,
good.
Anyway,
I
I'm
keep
going
an
to take
option.
this off so that not every frame of the show will be seen with Jack Daniels in it.
Jack Daniels. That's amazing.
But it's interesting. When you were, when we first got introduced, I don't know how old you were, maybe 15, 14?
I was 14.
14 years old. Was that your decision to be an actress at that young age? Is that you just said, Mom, Dad, I got to do this?
Yeah, I forced my parents, essentially. They were very adamant that I shouldn't be in the industry.
Right.
And I grew up in LA, so I was already around the industry, and both my parents are artists. You know, my dad plays music, my mom's a painter, all their friends are these sort of hippy-dippy artist guys, right? So I was exposed to it at a very young age. And around the time I was 4 years old, I was asking for an agent. Obviously, I had no idea what that was,
Right.
But I put together that you needed that to be an actor.
How did you know about agents? It's like most kids are good, like, I want to be on TV. You went straight to the agent.
The agent. Yeah, okay. I don't know where I picked it up. I do remember asking about it. And I was talking to my mom recently. I was like, how did I discover that? She's like, I have no idea. You heard it somewhere.
Crazy.
But I figured it out that you needed one. Had no idea what they did, but you needed one to be an actor.
And now have you discovered you really don't need one?
Yeah, I don't need them anymore. Yeah. I still don't know what an agent is. Yeah.
Nobody knows what
no one knows.
Only 4-year-olds really understand what an agent is.
Only 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds, they get it. They're tracking.
It's true. So, okay, so you said, I'm going to do, and then how quickly from that moment, berating your parents, like, I want to do this, did they acquiesce and say, yeah, okay?
It was a few years, because I started when I was 7, and I was asking every day. I was asking for an agent. I was asking for headshots, because my mom was a photographer too, so I knew what headshots were, right? And they were sort of dancing around it. They were like, yeah, let's learn how to read.
Right.
You know, let's whatever.
Very helpful, by the way, if you're going to do scripts.
Yeah, you got to know how to read. It's an important skill set to have.
Although it's not mandatory. I know lots of actors who do not read.
Yeah. It's not mandatory, but it's helpful.
Helps. Yeah, it helps.
And I started sort of picking up on the fact that they weren't telling me the real reason why they weren't letting me do it. At the time, I was incredibly shy, painfully shy kid. I would be able to perform and have no problems with it. I could be on a stage and do that stuff. Put on plays for my parents and their friends, no problem. But if I had to talk to someone, I would hide behind my mom's leg. And so they were really nervous about putting their kid into the industry. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, sure.
So I remember sitting them down one night, and I was about 6 or 7. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I'm behind schedule. This is what I'm going to do with my life. And I told them my schedule of what I would do, how I would do it until I was an adult. Right. And then they finally fessed up to me. They're like, okay, we understand that you love this, but the shyness is going to be hard, right? So I started doing things with my parents to sort of convince them that I could break being shy. Okay. Which included like ordering my parents' coffee order at Starbucks, and if the barista had to lean in and go, "What was that?" Then that was a fail. I had to do it again for myself. Right. So I sort of showed them that I could overcome that. They started me in modeling, and I hated it. I was like, because you're not telling a story, and there's not like, I didn't find that to be very fun. What I love about acting now is it's obviously a lot deeper than it was when I was a kid. I love telling stories, but I also love just the act of, like, my entire job is celebrating what it means to live a life as someone else. And I go off and I can look in the world in my own personal life and actually understand what it might be like for another person to go through this world. Right. And I find that so fun. That's such a beautiful thing. But again, at 7, I wasn't really thinking with that.
But you're 23 now?
Yeah.
Okay. So at 23, you're still meeting people and learning who people are and deciding
Absolutely.
in terms of, like, when you play a character, what pieces to draw from. And sometimes I assume that you've had many life experiences, but there's some life experiences you haven't had. And yet there are characters, you know, I've seen you do weird things like you get murdered, and you've been a prostitute, and like you've been all kinds of things that, by the way, as somebody who
did you watch that?
As somebody who cares about you, very disturbing.
I would imagine. Yeah. Oh wow. I didn't even think about that. You watching Deadwood? Yeah.
It's like I watched the original Deadwood. I'll see this new thing that they revised, and you're there. Oh man, it's very hard. But of course, it takes you right out of it.
It totally does.
I'm not watching the show anymore. I'm just like, okay, let's see what Jade's doing.
Let's see what Jade's doing. She's a prostitute in the 1800s.
Yeah, it's weird, but I mean, you know, that's the thing about acting. I think the older you get, the more experience you have, the more you have to draw from. Yeah. But you can still draw from your imagination and other things and do research and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's so many resources. But I think that one of the greatest classes you could have as an actor is to go off and live. You know, like you do have to have real life experiences and go off and experience it and look at people.
Who's the most interesting character you've met recently that you go like, okay, I might not hang out with this person, but I'm going to file this.
Oh, wouldn't hang out with them, but I'm going to file this.
Or I will hang out with them, but I'm also going to file this for later use.
Interesting.
Because I do that as a writer.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there is this, I would say that we're maybe not friends, but we're friendly with each other. Mm-hmm. I really do like this guy, but he works at a coffee shop that I go to a lot. And he's like a modern day cowboy, and he's also a country singer, but he's also got this like very like Mick Jagger-y swagger thing about him.
Why aren't you dating this guy? He sounds fantastic. What's going on?
Not dating him. Not dating him.
Right.
No.
You
Definitely
said you're not even
sense.
friends with him. You're friendly with him. It sounds fantastic. What's the problem?
Not interested in a relationship with him. But he's fascinating. He's such a character. He's one of these people that you feel like you would meet in a movie. Like he has like wears all of these gold jewelry, rings, and wears like a Dodgers jersey and a cowboy hat and a belt buckle.
He's screaming, "I'm unique."
Yeah,
in every pore.
Exactly. Okay. He's so unique. There is nothing like him.
All right.
What he wears, it all has a story to it. Like it's all thrifted, and he makes really great coffee. Yeah. You know. He's a great barista.
Something very special there.
Very special, and total country singer, rock and roll dude.
Okay.
Yeah, fascinating person.
In School of Rock, in our experience, what was? Let's just go back to my problem, which was, how could I have been a better producer? What was your experience as a kid actor? Do you have any rough experiences as a kid actor in the thing? Or not even rough, but just felt like either not treated well, not treated like a kid. I mean, all those things.
Yeah. I definitely am not going to claim to have the experiences that some of these other people have had experiences on. I'm not going to claim those. And
thank goodness.
And thank goodness. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful. And I also just want to like validate that those people's experiences and that they're horrific and they never should have happened.
Right.
So I obviously like I had my moments, but never anything along those lines.
What were the shitty moments? What were the moments that you like? Are they really asking a 14-year-old or 13? Are they asking me to do that? And like, what do you think was oppressive? That could have been. You could have been treated better, or even considered more, not just as an actress, but as a kid.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. School of Rock, I think we really did luck out, and I'm not trying to be like politically correct or whatever with that, but I felt like anything that I was having problems with never came from being on set. Like I felt like I would come to work and I felt like I fit in and it was great. And the thing that I actually really loved was I think that the way that you guys created how you guys created the atmosphere on set was it was very fun, but it was also if any problems did arise, which we didn't really have many problems. There was a
Yeah,
couple here and there.
Right.
But I knew that if something was wrong, I could come to one of you guys and communicate about it.
Steve and Jim Armagida were the people who created the show, and then they brought me in with them to help work on the show. And we were a fine team, and they're two extraordinarily nice guys.
Extraordinarily nice.
And really funny and great guys. And I felt very in sync with them about, we were all very concerned about, we want to make a good show. That was like the first thing was we want to make a good show. Second thing was we want people to be pleasant and happy in general. And then we also were concerned like, hey, these are really kids. Are we, what can we do to sort of do our best to protect you guys? Like we had a thing where we had a no swearing rule on set, but it was rarely followed. Like, I mean, honestly, the crew,
there's sailors every once in a while.
The bad words would pop up, and we would say like, I don't want to have to fire somebody because of what they're saying, but we would talk to people because, we want to keep the language.
I remember that.
Very, kid friendly. We want to keep the set kid friendly.
And that was the thing that I think I really appreciated was I think that the way you guys created that crew and hired people, they were genuinely good people. And I remember there were a couple of times when there were a couple of odd ducks that would come in and they didn't stay for long before it became a problem. And I think you guys really did a good job at.
We tried to listen, and other people would tell us that this person's a problem or this just was not a good fit, and so things would change. But we try to keep like a no difficult person policy going on,
which is super
which was
important.
great. Except they allowed me to stay, which was great.
It was great for you.
Yeah,
great for us.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
So yeah, to my mind, you played Summer, which was kind of not an odd man out, but the character was like a goody two shoes kind of person.
Straight laced.
And so I don't know, was it less fun or more fun to be goody two shoes, or did you feel stuck in a rut of goody two shoes on that show?
No, I found that her comedy was really funny because I also think you guys wrote all of these things that would occur to her that were so not goody two shoes. So for her to I felt like I constantly had food thrown in my face and slime and all these things that would be just so against everything Summer would want.
Right.
And that comedy was really fun for me to play.
I remember the spaghetti.
Oh, that was brutal.
Yeah,
that was brutal.
That was tough. I still have video of you getting a face full of spaghetti. Okay,
but it's not just a face full of spaghetti. Yeah. We need to call it what it is. It wasn't just someone throwing spaghetti at me, which happens, right? We had Aiden Minor, who's an amazing kid, but he's a teenage boy who have cooties. And Tony Cavalera, who played Mr. Finn. Amazing guy. Both of them. I love both of them. They were spitting spaghetti and chocolate pudding in my face, right? And then because we needed more of it, you, I think, actually came in and just
I threw spaghetti at your face.
You threw spaghetti at my face.
Now,
and it's a long scene, so I'm sitting in it for a while.
I know. You were so fantastic.
Oh,
now, here's
you.
the thing. I'm enjoying talking about this. On that Nickelodeon, did you watch that Nickelodeon thing?
I couldn't watch all of it.
So there's a whole thing about people getting sprayed in the face with stuff, and they're sexualizing that. And they play weird music behind it, so it makes it seem weird. If we did cut pieces of that, I don't think spaghetti would do it. But I mean, sliming, they show sliming and they say, oh, that is purely a sexualized male fantasy. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, that's what Nickelodeon, that's what we were doing, gooey things for kids. We weren't doing gooey things for perverted adults and stuff like that. But I think...
I hope not, Well,
we weren't. But I mean,
for us, that was not the case with the comedy with us. It didn't
seem that way to any of us. But I think in even today, if somebody said, would you do it again? I was like, I think so. I don't think didn't seem... like if you look at anything through a strange lens like that, I think everything could be perceived as disgusting and gross, and maybe some things were on some other shows purposely done that way. I don't know. One thing that we did when we pushed you in a vending machine.
Oh yeah.
Your character was stuck inside of a vending machine. Somehow she called it a vending machine.
I remember that.
And the thing was, you're supposed to be smooshed up against it.
Yeah.
And so one point you're smooshed up against it, and being a good actress, you're just smushing your whole body up against it. And I had to walk up to you and say, don't smush your chest up against the thing.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
And I was like, it's not gonna be it's not gonna be what we want.
Yeah.
And so like everybody was always on the lookout for things that could be perceived as sexualized, or if skirts were flying up, or things like we had men and women, but also the script supervisor every time.
Good.
Stop that. But I mean, that was
because that can't be the role of the kid either. Because like for me, I wasn't thinking about that at all. You're a kid.
No, you're being a great actress and just doing the actor thing. But you have to have a world of people around you who's there to not only protect you in that moment, but also protect you on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
And make sure that your guys are coming off the age appropriate. And I think Nickelodeon was very concerned about that too.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. So I don't know. What could we have done better? Important. What could we have done better for you guys? I mean, aside from not making you just play the tambourine. Aside from that,
I had a thing on that for a minute.
Bummer.
Yeah, that, and then also my one little bone to pick with you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have a history wearing headbands?
Never.
You've never worn a headband?
Not once.
Okay.
Should I?
Just for the reality, so you know what it could be like, and I need you to wear it for a long period of time.
I have no hair. Like there's no.
No, you'll still get what I'm talking about.
Okay, an irritation.
So when you wear a headband, the ends of it push up against the back of your ears, and for a long period of time, it will create a headache. And I remember I that was the only reason why I hated wearing the headbands, because they cause pain. I remember talking, I think it was to you, and I was like, okay, I get it. Summer's signature thing is she wears a headband, which I get. I get it. It's the preppy thing. But can we just do a couple scenes without him? And I remember being told, you won't be recognizable as Summer without the headband, like, because that's her signature thing. And I was like, come on, man. This is the thing.
Do we put pads around the bottoms of the headband? Could we have made the headbands more comfortable?
We made the headbands more comfortable? I don't know. Maybe there would have been a solution there. But we kept wearing the headbands, and that was the one thing that I was like, oh man. But that's obviously a very small thing.
Yeah.
I think
I'm sorry. Let me apologize right now. I'm sorry about the headband. It was
a rough life for me with wearing my headbands.
I can understand that.
No, but for all intents and purposes, like I think for me, it was really important that I was treated as a kid from a point of a safety point, and that I had people looking after me. And I never questioned that on School of Rock, so it was never a problem. But the thing that I also really needed was that obviously I am a kid. That's a thing, right? But I am a professional, and I'm an actor, and to be treated with the same respect or level that you would anyone else was really important to me, which I think you guys did.
We definitely thought of you as an actor, and as a professional. We wouldn't tell you how to say the line. Try not to. We try to give you a motivation.
Yeah.
Aiden, who was not as experienced as an actor, sometimes we would tell him how to say the line.
Yeah, and that's helpful in certain ways.
So but that was his experience versus your experience.
Exactly.
You came to it more as an actress, thinking, well, how would my character feel in this moment? And that's you as a director or as a producer, you talk to the actor where they are and what they need.
It's definitely not a one size fits all thing. Every actor needs something else, and especially every kid that's in this needs something specific to them.
Right. I'm glad you thought that. And also, when I got to direct, I always tried to to do goofy takes and weird things and have playful moments, just so that we could improvise weird stuff and just to play. Because I felt like there's not enough playtime. I really felt like you guys did not have enough playtime. Yeah. And I don't know what else there was to do about it, because we had schedules and you guys had schedules, and there was rehearsals on the weekends for songs and all that kind of stuff. I was always worried about, like, when are they living? When are they having playtime? Yeah.
I had my moments of sort of feeling that for a bit, because it is, again, you're a kid doing this thing, but you have the demands of an adult.
Right.
We were all working 6 days a week, and we were together every day. Those kids when we were working together, right? And So any moments that we had where we could have just some fun and let go and release was important. But I think the pressures are inevitable, and you have to love it. And that's the thing that sort of breaks my heart with child actors, are the ones that go into it and they don't love it, or it's not something that was their decision. And that's the thing that's hard. And you could also have kids that love it but don't want to do it on a professional level, right? They would be just as happy doing it in school.
What do you get recognized for these days most often? The things that Big Little Lies, what was the show that you just did?
There's Little Fires Everywhere.
Little Fires Everywhere.
But people say Big Little Lies a lot because the name is very similar. And also I've played the daughter of almost all of those actresses, which is such a random little connection. I get recognized for Little Fires Everywhere for sure. And then Big Sky, as of recent times. Okay. Big Sky was another
Were you in the opening of Big Sky, right? I mean, it's like, I remember watching that, it's like, and immediately get either kidnapped or dead. I forgot which. One of the two things happened. I was like, I cannot watch the show anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I turned it off.
Wow.
Like Brown and I were watching, my wife and I were watching, it's just like, you can't watch this. It looked like you were going to be in trouble, the whole thing, and I did not want to see it.
I was in trouble. Yeah. I no dying, or maybe, I don't know. You just don't know spoilers, but I was in that for.
It's aired. You don't have.
It's aired.
You can't do the spoiler thing.
It's true. Yeah. It's true. Okay, so aired. I don't die. Yeah, okay, good. I don't die, but right. I do get put through the ringer. Yeah. And she's kidnapped, but that was such a fun project.
I'll bet it was fun to do. I just didn't want to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of family members that, it's so funny, I never thought of it being a problem, because obviously it's not real, it's all pretend.
Sure, I know it's made up.
But I had some family members that were like, I actually couldn't see you in that position. And I have a film coming out this year with Jojo Siwa, actually. Okay. So, which is so funny because it's so not a Nickelodeon project. Right. It's a horror film, and she's very adult in it, and I'm very adult in it. But we teamed together to do this film, and I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I can't have my family watching this. Right. Like, it's so gory and intense and raunchy, but so fun too. Like, I had so much fun doing it.
I'm glad you had the experience.
Yeah, you don't have to watch it.
I don't need to watch it.
You don't need to watch it.
I'm glad that you enjoyed it, and that's fantastic. And I don't need to see JoJo being raunchy either. She was when she was on our show, she was like a go-getter, she was very like driven. Yeah, she seemed super driven.
She was all in.
Yeah, and just like and super positive, and let's go and let's do this. Yeah, like almost in a strange hypnotized kind of way. Like, I was wondering, is she okay? Is she all right?
She is one of the most hardworking people I know. Yeah, and she didn't complain once. Which, she's a musician and an entertainer and a dancer and all these things, but the acting world is a new thing for her, and this was what was required of her was quite intense, and she didn't complain once. There was actually a moment on set where it was her first day, but we had been filming for a while, and so it's a horror film, so I was screaming every day and covered in blood every day. And I was shooting up in Vancouver, and we were doing the scenes with her, we were doing in LA at the end of everything. So I come back from Vancouver, totally beat up from just all of there was a lot of stunts, there was a lot of blood, a lot of screaming. And we're shooting this whole sequence in Topanga Canyon in the middle of the night. And it's just me and her doing this sequence. And she could see how worn out I was. And like, my voice was really scratchy. I started sounding like a female Tom Waits. It was smoking 10 packs a day kind of sound in my voice. Right. And she had disappeared for a little bit. I was like, I wonder where JoJo is. You can't get service up here. So I had no idea where she went. And she comes back, and she had Erewhon delivered, like Erewhon chicken soup, like very fancy artisanal soup, delivered to the middle of nowhere, Topanga Canyon, and this like offshoot in this little hut, because she saw that
your throat needed
my throat needed some help, and that I was just physically just like barely staying here.
How nice of her.
So sweet. That's nice. So she's she's a sweet one. Yeah. And again, never complained, and was so dedicated and all into doing it.
Fantastic. I remember the JoJo Siwa episode of School of Rock. I don't know, she worked in a mall. She was something, there was something about a mall.
Yeah, we were spud buds.
And
we worked at the Potato Shack.
That's right. And then, and at some point, and I don't know how this made sense, something explodes and then you wind up
me.
Sliding through the mall.
Yeah, on me. Not her, not Brie.
Completely
me.
on you, but exploding on you, but also not just that. You slid. There was like a sliding stunt from the explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. So I was hooked up to a harness, and basically that harness is pulled by a stunt coordinator, and it gets hit into pads that look like little potato sacks, which causes nacho cheese to fall. Right. And so I have nacho cheese
on your head, straight down
bacon,
on your head. Yeah.
Chives, the whole thing just pouring down. And then I remember Aiden coming up and tasting a little lick of the nacho cheese. Yeah. That was really fun to wash off in my trailer.
That was funny.
It was really fun.
That was actually very enjoyable.
Something that I found really funny was this had to be intentional because it didn't happen once. I think it happened almost every time we had a food stunt, whether it was the chocolate pudding and spaghetti, guacamole, nacho cheese. Right. The next day, craft service, the lunch was that. And I was like, this is a wicked sense of humor. I'm like, am I making up the smell of the nacho cheese? Is it still in my hair? Or no, it's just craft service is just serving baked potatoes. Little joke. Yeah, it was pretty good.
They read the scripts.
Yeah,
they know what's happening.
They were aligned. They were aligned.
Funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's good. So, all right, so to wrap up, the producerial thing, because that was my thing. Like I was wondering if I could be a more caring, if I ever do a kid show again, which I probably never will. But if I ever did, what could we do aside from headbands, which I got? Message received. Yeah. Headbands suck. What could we do that would, given the constraints of show business, and we have to film stuff, to be more engaging and more accommodating of kids when they're stuck on a show?
When you're looking at something that you want to improve, or there's a problem, like handling a problem that you have, obviously it's important to look at the things that are weak and strengthen those things as the points that are out. But I also think it's equally just as important to look at the things that one did right and to strengthen those things. Okay. For me,
I did everything right. So
everything right. You could do no wrong.
So for you, what?
You created a space where we felt safe and where we could discover and play and be joyful in a safe environment. And if something was wrong, we could go to you. Right. So that is, I think, so important. So just
when she's saying me, she's saying us because it was the three of us. But
you, Steve, Jim, the whole group, right? But that comes from the executives, that comes from the directors, right? That's really important. And I think the other part is allowing a kid to be treated as a professional. You know what I mean? And not looking down at them or that they couldn't understand, which I think you guys did a good job at, but strengthening that is always like that's the for me at least, that's my personal experience. You know, it's this thing of like, kids are the most vulnerable people on set, and I think it's the responsibility of everyone on set to advocate for your fellows, not just actors.
It's question time.
I'm going to check the internet because on Twitter I asked if there were going to be any questions. For you, and let's see if there's. No, one question was, I believe it was if you could order any sandwich. What sandwich would that be?
Ooh, if I could order any sandwich.
And by the way, you can order any sandwich. It's possible.
I can.
It is very possible for you to do.
It's true. Oh man. One of my favorite things in the world and one of my favorite places in the world is Felipe's. Have you been there? Downtown LA? Yeah. Raised there. My dad grew up going there and I grew up going there. So a pulled pork French dip sandwich.
When's the last time you were there?
About a month ago.
Wow. I have not been there years. I literally this week told my friend John, I've not been to Philippe's. I need to get to Philippe's.
Gotta go to Philippe's. So, the sawdust on the floor.
So do you know why
eggs.
it's a French dip sandwich?
Why?
There's a plaque on the wall of Philippe's that says...
I mean, the original, they created it. I don't know the story, though.
There's a guy supposedly named Officer French who wanted a roast beef sandwich or a pulled pork sandwich, and he said, put the juice on the side. And so he could dip the sandwich in the juice.
And history was made.
That
is my favorite place. I would get a pulled pork French dip sandwich and a slice of boysenberry pie.
All right. Another question. If you could swap lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Swap lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good question.
All right.
Bill Murray.
Oh, that's a great one.
Because I want to know, I mean, he's Bill Murray. I want to know what would it be like to live as him? And also, what does he do?
All right. Well, he's a free spirit, man.
He's a free spirit. But he goes off and does the oddest.
Right. He gets to do what he wants.
Yeah.
He literally lives his life and doing whatever he wants.
He feels off the grid.
Yeah.
And like, wasn't he working at like P.F. Chang's for a minute?
He did. He did all kinds of stuff. And I think it helps. It helps if you're an alcoholic to live that life. So
well, we got the Jack Daniels.
So we have this Jack Daniels. So if you really want to go there. But I mean, he's super rich. Yeah. And he's not constrained by a lot of other things as kids are growing up, and I believe he's divorced. So he gets to just wander around and be buddies with people and just tell everybody like, hey, we're all going to go do this thing. And then he can make it happen.
Yeah. He seems like just such a liver of life with no inhibitions. And I want to know what it'd be like to be Bill Murray. Okay. Who would you swap lives with?
Oh, who would I swap lives with? I don't know. I think maybe somebody who is a very popular film director who can get a film made right now. So I would like to make a movie have it made. So I would
Greta Gerwig or something.
Sure, I would
like
swap
that.
lives with Greta Gerwig and say like, okay, I can get, because I'm Greta Gerwig, I can get this movie made. And people would want my point of view on female life, and I would do that. Yeah,
that would work.
Yeah.
That would work.
Now we have a listener mail.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for listener mail.
You're of course familiar with these things because you're an avid listener of my podcast. I'm sure. Okay, well, thank you for being an avid listener. You're part of Kogan Nation.
Hell yeah.
So the listener mail, this is not specifically meant for you. This was just written in at random. So the listener writes, how do you define or perceive failure?
Never trying at all.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yeah. I think the saddest, I wish I knew it at the top of my head, but Teddy Roosevelt has
get in the arena.
Yeah, man in the arena. So someone never knowing victory or defeat, you know, where you stop yourself from living just because you're so scared of what would happen if you failed. Right. That is failure to me. Right. That I think, because we're not meant to be perfect, you know what I mean? And that's kind of part of playing life and playing the game is you are going to fall. You are going to have all these things, but that isn't failure to me. Failure is never trying at all. But
easy to say and hard to do, especially when you are scared of whatever X is.
Absolutely.
So what are you scared of doing? What have you been up to this moment scared of doing that a mountain you want to conquer, but you're still not sure about?
This is one that I've been going up and down on. So I've been making music my whole life. This is from a career point, but I could probably find other things that I'm scared of in life. Right. I'm scared of spiders. I should probably kill the spiders in my apartment instead of having my dad kill them. Right. But from a point of music, I love making music. I've been writing music and making music my whole life. But unlike acting, where I was always certain that was something I was going to do, music I've gone so up and down on of whether I am good enough to do it, whether it's something I want to do professionally or not, whether I have what it takes, people like it, because also the music I make is...
But what does it take? Like, I have what it takes. What does that mean?
That's what I discovered, is it doesn't mean anything. Right. I think, and I was stopping myself quite a bit. And so I've gotten to the point now where it scares me so much, but I'm doing it where I'm just doing it. I'm going to record music and release it and not think about anything else.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm overcoming that fear.
Okay.
Because I love music enough. And
it's hard. Charlie makes music and records it, but even now, sometimes, you know, he'll have a song and he'll say, I'm just not ready to let it go.
Yeah.
Just not ready to let it go. Either because he's being a perfectionist about trying to mix it and make it perfect, or some things like, I'm afraid it's not going to get the reception that I hope it gets because I love it so much.
Yeah. And that's just the name of the game of being an artist.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, I think about, there are certain musicians that actually saved my life, right? Like that.
Who?
Jeff Buckley's one of them.
Okay.
Right? Jeff Buckley.
Who saved his life?
Who saved his life?
Yes, Jeff Buckley.
I don't know.
I don't think anybody.
I mean, he did. He's part of the 27 Club.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, he saved my life at least, right? I
Mhm.
listened to him, and Fiona Apple's another one. Like these guys, like major moments of my life, I got through because of them.
Okay.
And I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, if Jeff Buckley was, you know, recording Grace, the Grace album, and was like, God, it's so, you know, I love this, but like, what if people don't like it?
Right.
And whatever. And he didn't release it.
Right.
Then, I mean, I would have probably survived. I probably would have found something
Right,
else
but
to
it
love.
was-
But I wouldn't have had that experience, right?
He gave you he gave you a gift that would not have existed had he not dared
that.
to sing it, record it,
Yeah.
release it.
Are there people that don't like Jeff Buckley? Absolutely, right?
Mhm.
I don't care
Right.
about those guys
Right.
at all, right?
Right.
But anyway, I think it's the duty of an artist at a certain
Mhm.
point to let go of your ego of like, what do people think
Mm-hmm.
about this? Some people aren't going to like it, because there will be one person that will resonate with it.
Do you love Emmylou Harris by osmosis because you like Jeff Buckley?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
fair enough.
Yeah,
All right.
I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm a music nerd.
Sure,
But
me
I
too.
think you know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a music nerd myself.
Yeah.
All right. The last thing that we're going to talk about before we depart today is the moment of joy.
A moment of joy.
This is where I ask my guest, who in this case is you,
Yes.
what's something that gives you joy that you haven't spoken about already? You've already talked about music, you've talked about movies, but we've talked about candles.
Yeah.
We've talked about many things, but
Yeah.
what's something that gives you joy? Just like, so I'm crossing Philippe's and candles and a bunch of things that we talked about. What's something you haven't mentioned yet that just gives you a lot of joy?
Okay, so I have my own place now.
Mhm.
And something that I have discovered that is just, it's so simple, but it's so much fun, is inviting all of my friends over and cooking a meal together.
Mhm.
And we're all in our 20s, so we're all like,
So you're all shitty cooks.
yeah, horrible cooks.
Right.
Except for one of them. One of them's
Okay.
like freakishly
Right.
good, and it's not
Right.
fair at
Mhm.
all. But I have a table, but it's not big enough to hold everybody. So we're mainly just sitting like cross-legged on my floor,
Right.
eating this pasta that we made and candle lights, and it's
Mhm.
all very vibey and cool. But there's just something very simple about like, I have my own space, but I'm bringing my friends over, and it doesn't really matter what we're doing. Like we're making this meal or whatever. But we could be anywhere, and we're just occupying the same space, and I get to host them. That brings me so much.
It sounds like fun. I'm a
joy.
little hurt that I don't get invited to these things to hang out with you girls in your young 20s.
I mean,
Just me sitting on the floor eating pasta. Who's
I'll
that?
let you know when we're having our next one.
Who's
You
that
can
6-year-old guy in the corner? Don't worry about him. He's
He
cool.
brought Jack Daniels though.
He's cool.
so-
He's fine.
He's cool.
Yeah,
He's
that's
good.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. No, that is a fine thing.
People bring me joy, you know.
Yeah.
And I think at this particular stage of my life, I've really found like part and parcel of growing up is like going in and out of finding your people, right? Like friendships coming
Right.
and going, and like who are the people that understand me and that I understand, and like, do I want to go off and like conquer life with, right?
Mm.
And you have the people that you grew up with,
Right.
and sometimes those stick around and stay, and you guys grow together, and then sometimes they fade off and you guys go off in different directions. And I think I'm in a season of life right now where the people around me are perfect, and I see that I'm gonna know them for a really long time.
That's beautiful. Is there a unifying quality to those people that you can identify? Like, what is it about these people that you say, I want to explore life with them for quite some time? What is the thing about them that sort of magnetizes them to you?
There's two things.
Okay.
All of them are artists
Mhm.
in different ways. Like we're not all in the same industry, but we're all incredibly creative people. So that is one thing. There's the artist thing. We jam together, we write together, we paint together, we like do photo shoots and stuff like that. So there is that. It's a very creative group of people. They're also so sincere, which is sometimes hard to find in LA. Yeah. And they all have this purpose, like
I'm out.
You're here, like I'm out. I'm not
totally sincere people. I have no business with them.
Don't
I have
know.
no business with them. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not my people.
That's fantastic. So they're very sincere.
And they're interested instead of trying to be interesting.
Okay.
So it makes amazing conversations and adventures where you have a group of people aren't trying to be like showy and like I'm this cool artist person and look at me, but they're just genuinely interested in life.
They're the exact opposite of the barista who makes the coffee that we started with, who wears the hat, who looks like Mick Jagger and wears the Dodger uniform. So you've just identified what you don't like about that guy. Yes.
Oh, no, but I love him.
No. You cannot take it back.
If he watches this.
No, he doesn't watch this. He doesn't watch this. He's not part of the 8 million people who listen to this podcast. I'm sure he's not part of that.
I'm sure he's not.
All right. Well, Jade, I love you. Thank you for doing this. You've been a great guest and a great person, and I hope to be a friend of mine for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you're one of them.
But with a reasonable separation. I don't want to be.
You just said you wanted to come over with the girls.
I wouldn't really come over for that. But I want to be in your life in a very dignified way.
Yeah.
But I still want to stay connected to all you kids because I really love you guys, and I want to make sure that you're happy and safe and be part of things in your lives when I can be. It's really nice to see you guys grow up and be such great people. And when I say you guys, I just mean you because I'm not talking to any of the others. I have no idea. They could be criminals. People could be in jail right now. I have no idea. Not at all. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and thank you for being here. The people on the podcast. This is the Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan podcast that you've been listening to. You knew that. But anyway, the whole point of Don't Be Alone is don't be alone. I'm not alone. I'm here with a friend. You be out with a friend, have some time with people, share some cool spaghetti sitting on the floor with people. It's going to be great. And we'll see you next time.
Don't be alone with Jade.